So, hello. My name is WriterMaven. I am the host of the Wrestling Receipts podcast. I am, I do talk about all things Judgment Day, Dom, Liv, Raquel, JD, Finn, possibly Roxanne, and poor Carlito. Starting off, I want to give all my thoughts and prayers and well wishes to Liv Morgan. We did get confirmation, or at least semi confirmation, that this past week that she has a injury that will require surgery. And so she's going to be pulled off the road for the foreseeable future, near future, not the entire future, but near future, per Sean Ross Sapp. Remember how I say I always pay attention to Sean Ross Sapp? That's why I pay attention to Sean Ross Sapp. And even with Sean Ross, and what Sean Ross Sapp said is that the timetables been given are estimates. So don't always believe that she's going to be out the entire 6 months, like off the screen for 6 months. I really don't believe that. I think she will be back in some capacity, maybe around a 3 or 4 month mark, maybe even earlier than that. And she might even be engaged in social. You know how Rhea kind of disappeared after her injury off of social? I think Liv will be a little bit more engaged. So I think she will be engaged with social because of what she was liking of Dom when he was at Fanatics Fest. And then I think she will be back in some kind of capacity, either through like maybe pre-recordings, promos, things like that. Later on, I don't think she's going to be completely gone where we don't hear from her for the entire 6 months. So yeah, but yes, best wishes to Liv Morgan. It's just such a terrible break. Everything revolved through her and Dom, and this is why Triple H doesn't need to wait to pull the trigger so damn long. Long term booking doesn't mean shit if this stuff happens. Like long term booking have its place, but sometimes you just got to pull the trigger, and this trigger should have been pulled a long time ago. But we'll see. We'll be able to pick up where we started when Liv gets back, and I think they will. I don't think Dom or Liv will let that magic slip from them because I think they worked too hard of it, and so I think when things get back to where Liv is back on TV, I think things will be fine. Now, as a Ride or Die Dom fan, I have to say I was a little bit fatigued on the X with just like all the postings and worrying about Liv and all that, and I get it. I went through kind of like the same thing with Dom when it was rumored he would be out last year with his injury, but I'm a little fatigued because it seems like everything was more for paying attention to Liv, like what Liv is going to do, what she's missing out on, and I get it. But I have to remember there's other people involved in this, like Dom specifically, because I'm his ride or die. But it's like Finn, it's JD, it's Raquel, it's Roxanne. Like there are other people involved, and I have to temper my sadness for Liv because she's out right now. Like nothing else can be done. But you have to remember there are other people affected by this injury. Dom especially, Finn and all that. And no matter how I feel about Finn with his demented self, like this impacts him too. Like this, things have to be shuffled around. And I'm hoping people remember that because it seems like I said, like just concern for Dom got dropped as soon as this hit with Liv. And like I said, I get it, but like please remember there's other people involved with how Liv's injury impacted people. Like this impacted EO, this impacted Nikki Bella. Like there's a lot of people impacted by this injury. So like please remember that other people were impacted by the injury. This is not saying that I don't care about her injury. Hell no. I was gutted. Like seriously, when it happened, I was gutted, and I was just holding out hope that it wouldn't be too badly, and then we get that news. Because I was holding out hope that it wasn't. But like I said, there are a lot of other people impacted by this injury. Um, for this channel, the Wrestling Receipts podcast channel will still continue to focus on Judgment Day. But more specifically, I am more focusing on Dom. Like, I will still cover Judgment Day stuff, like, Dom being involved with Judgment Day, if he decides to pull away, break away, or whatever. I'm still going to cover that. But when it comes to Dom, and if he decides to pull away and he finishes the story with Judgment Day, the Wrestling Receipts podcast channel will shift its attention to Dom. When Liv comes back and she's with Dom, Wrestling Receipts podcast channel will focus on Dom and Liv. I will also be refocusing my attention to other people like Naomi. I'm going to be focusing more on a little bit more of the women, like your Michins, your B Fabs, Lyra, Bailey, things like that. I'm going to be starting refocusing on some of the other male wrestlers that I like. That would be like Jimmy Uso. It would be like a Carmelo Hayes. It would be more, who else do I like? Even like Penta and this other wrestlers, Otis, Kira. Like these are some of like the lower tier guys, but those are people that I really like. So Wrestling Receipts podcast will start focusing on them. If Judgment Day is done and finished and kaput, then I'm going to start really focusing on some of these other wrestlers that I like, and maybe this Wrestling Receipts channel will become more of a comprehensive review of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. But that's if and only if things start shifting where Judgment Day is no more, and I don't want to cover it anymore because Dom's not a part of it. So that's just like my little alert there. I want y'all to be prepared for that. I know y'all follow me for my insight into Judgment Day storylines and stuff like that. And once I find another storyline that I want to focus in on, that'll probably become a focus as well. But in the interim, with Judgment Day and all that implies, this channel will focus on Dom. When Liv gets back, Dom and Liv. And then maybe I will shift into more of a review of all of Monday Night Raw and all of SmackDown. Maybe. It depends. I might have to just focus on Raw if Dom is on there or something like that. Maybe some of the next two. But that's just my little programming alert, just because of what's going on. But to go back to Dom, yeah, there are just a lot of things, like I said, where I have to like focus. I'm focusing my attention on him and how things impact. Like me personally, I'm gonna tell y'all right now that I do not want to go through this whole Judgment Day thing where it is put on hold for a Liv return. Like if she's gonna be out now, this is not confirmed, but if she's going to be out for 6 months, I don't want the Judgment Day storyline to be on hold for 6 months. I can't deal with that anymore. There's no juice in the stone. They squeeze it dry. You know, this, like I said, they should have been pulling the trigger a long time ago. And there's no reason for Dawn to be a part of Judgment Day when Liv is gone, and especially since Carlito is gone. Now, if Carlito had still been around and they hadn't not and they had re-signed his contract, then yeah, I could see maybe Carlito being around, and Dom being around Carlito because he provides that humor and there's a little connection there. But with Liv gone, Dom has no connection. There's no Carlito, there's no Liv. He's not really connected to Raquel. Yeah, they're friendly, but she's, you know, getting attitude, so that connection's not there. He's boys with JD, but he was getting an attitude, and I told y'all like on this past TikTok that I posted from last Monday, like that doesn't even make sense. And I'm gonna get into that later on how the whole storyline is foobar because they've taken the narrative in so many different ways where nothing makes sense. But right now, as it stands, there's no point for Dom to be a part of Judgment Day anymore. I'm going to get into what I hope happens on Monday Night Raw, but I will tell y'all straight up that I just want Dom to be separated from it. Maybe give him an ally, give him Octagon Jr. like I was talking about, like he could be in like a mentor role to Octagon Jr. because he beat him on his debut. So maybe give him that, give him a luchador from AAA to have him like have an ally there while he's pretty much on his own. But I think I just need him to break away. Like there's nothing there for Dom in Judgment Day anymore, and especially around Finn. Like there's nothing there. Like what else is Dom gonna do? Like he's just gonna be like I think the fear that a lot of Dom fans have is that we're fearing that Dom is gonna get dumbed down to where he has to put up with Finn's bullshit for months. And I don't think we wanted to see that anymore. We've dealt with that anymore. We've seen Finn be calling Dom a loser. We've seen Finn call Dom a snake. We've seen that. Like, at this point, just rip the band aid off, pull the trigger, and let's go. Give us the Finn and Dom feud. We're going to SummerSlam, just let us have it. Give us the build. We got so many weeks now. We're 2 weeks away from Evolution, and I think it's like 2 or 3 weeks away after that. It's SummerSlam. So just gone and rip the band aid off. But I'm going to talk about more of what I would want them to do later on. But first, let's talk about Dom and Liv breaking the internet. Now, I'm sure y'all all by now have seen the Dom and Liv um, photo that where the Sabrina tribute of the Sabrina Carpenter picture that she had for her album cover. Dom and Liv have done that cover, that picture, and that broke the internet immediately when it dropped. Because that's a lot of people when we saw that picture, we thought that Liv would be okay because she dropped that picture and Dom's reaction to that picture, and we were really hoping she was okay. But that immediately broke the internet. And then, not to be outdone, we had Zarya and Sol Roca. They did the picture from NXT. And then I think one of my favorite pictures that who did it was Naomi and Kit Wilson from SmackDown. Now Kit Wilson is from SmackDown. He's a part of Pretty Deadly. So it was Naomi holding his hair for that picture, and it just fit with her because she's with her crazy self. But it was just a really nice picture. I like that one. I think that's just my favorite. And I'm not even saying that as a Naomi fan, and I'm even a Pretty Deadly fan, but I just like that picture. Like, I love Dom and Liv because of reasons, and we all know what those reasons are. But with Naomi and Kit's picture, I just loved it. And then I had to put the caveat of, we know that if Dom was still with Rhea, we would have that picture, and I'm already gagging about it. Um, so let's get into a little bit of storyline talk. Now we're gonna have to kind of break this down onto why the Judgment Day storyline is FUBAR. Y'all have already seen my video about this of why it is, but I'm gonna talk about a little bit some other key points on why it's messed up and fucked up, and why there's no real clear direction or an easy direction for Dom or Finn. So starting off, like, we had from the beginning Finn calling Dom a loser, a snake, and things that could easily solidify a good heel run for Finn swept under the rug. So what I mean by that is that it wasn't acknowledged by commentary. Like, nobody from Cole's side or Pat McAfee's side was acknowledging what Finn was doing. Yeah, they said now that he's sowing dissension within Judgment Day, which is another thing that makes the story messed up. But but Finn's actions in the beginning of this whole shitty storyline had went largely ignored. So now, for a lot of us that's been following the Judgment Day storyline, we have our intelligence insulted because we still remember how Finn was acting. Like, how are you gonna have Finn act this way, and then if you want to flip it to where Dom might be a face, you still haven't acknowledged what Finn has done to Dom. And this is not even a case of Dom. This is like getting payback. Dom's like getting like just desserts of what he's done, where he has to turn face. It's not even like that. We're getting a point where Dom is presenting one way, which is conflicting what they presenting with Finn, which is conflicting with Dom. So we have like two conflicting narratives, almost three, if you think about how long the story has been going. So Finn's part where it could solidify him as a heel is ignored. And if they had acknowledged that, maybe then he could have been that heel, or he could have been a face if he turned it around and was like acknowledging what he did. Like, hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about calling Dom a loser. I'm sorry for negging you, Raquel. I'm sorry for being slow about it, JD. Like, they could have done some work here with Finn to either make him the heel or the face. as it stands right now, he's looking like he's leaning heel, but like I said, his heel run is going to be flat post Dom because he's not getting any reaction as it is in the first place. That's why he needed a face turn. Like, why is he negging Dom and acting this way when he should be getting a face turn? And at the moment, Raw needs faces. We need faces for audience participation. Yeah, you got you got Jay Bear and AJ and Penta, but that's kind of pretty much it. Yeah, you got Sammy there too, but it's not a lot of faces there. Heel wise, you got all kinds of heels like Dom and Steph and Braun Breaker and Bronson and Chad Gable and all that. Like, there's a whole bunch of heels. But faces wise, you needed somebody to engage it with, and it's a little bit easier to break in on the face side when it's needed to have faces on Raw, especially. So with Finn's character, it's all messed up. You know, we don't know if he can go heel or face. And then, as somebody pointed out on the X that I responded to, commentary has constantly said that Dom is getting too big headed and he's not getting sympathy, and he's not getting the sympathy usually given to heels about the turn face. So if you're calling out Dom for not being out there, you're calling out Dom for being big headed. If Dom was heading towards a face turn or a face-ish tweener role, he should be getting a narrative shift on commentary where it's more sympathetic to him. Yeah, I know Cole's gonna be an ass about Cole because he turned on his daddy, his stepdaddy. But usually you get the sympathetic um commentary from the face commentator, which is Michael Cole. So Michael Cole should be saying with Dom about Dom, it's like he hasn't been out here, but he's been really working hard, defending the Intercontinental Championship at all our PLEs, something like that, something that gives it sympathy, where he could say, yeah, Dom is doing this, but he's doing this as well. We're not getting that with Dom, and that makes it harder for this turn to happen with Dom if they want to push him into a face like role. So if Finn turns on Dom, think about it this way. If Finn turns on Dom, which I hope is not that simplistic, but just bear with me a little bit. If Finn turns on Dom, what does Michael Cole say now? When you've been calling Dom big headed and too big for Judgment Day and he doesn't come out, what does Michael Cole say now? This is somebody that you're going to be presenting maybe face ish. What does Michael Cole say now? So you're stuck up a creek. You're shit up a creek. Because the narrative has pinholed Dom as being this big headed dude. We know that's not the case, which is again a problem with the commentary. You pinhole Dom this way, and now where you're looking where he might be face, then you still, you can't just automatically abruptly so like, ooh, I really feel sorry for Dom and all that. And if you go, that's what you get, then you're still presenting Dom in a heel way. Like, saying that's what you get to Dom if he gets turned on by Finn still keeps Dom in a heel role. So if you got Dom in a heel role and Finn in a heel role, that's two heels going up against each other. Yeah, Dom is probably going to get cheered, but he's still presenting heel ways, and heel versus heel type feuds rarely work. The reason why the Drew McIntyre and the CM Punk feud worked is because CM Punk, even though he could be an ass, he was clearly presented as the face of the feud with how Drew took his friendship bracelet that had like his dog name and AJ's name. Drew made himself the heel, and he was the one doing despicable acts. So he was clearly the heel, and CM Punk was clearly the face. Now, you can like Drew how you want, and I love Drew. I love Drew to death. He will always be like a face to me. But Drew could clearly present himself as the heel. CM Punk, even though he could be an ass, presented himself as the face because of what was done to him. And that had built since when Drew stomped on his arm. Here with Finn and Dom, yeah, Dom is going to get some cheers, but what has established Dom clearly as the face? Because you got commentary still talking out of his ass regarding Dom and insulting all intelligence. And then you got Finn, where nothing has been acknowledged of what Finn has done, and then he's almost presented in a sympathetic light because of you're saying that Dom's big headed, but then if Dom's big headed, that presents Finn sympathetically because he has to deal with Dom's big headedness. You see what I mean? Everything is foobar. Everything is fucked up. You can't really look at the storyline and go, okay, Finn is turning heel, okay, but if he's going heel, then where is his despicable actions? Yeah, he's working against Dom now, but he was negging Dom now, and he was kind of presenting himself way, but it seems like it's flipped on his head. Then Dom, you had him looking sympathetic for a while, and then now y'all are presenting him as a big headed, and he's too big a drug for Judgment Day. Everything is fucked up. And you have it now where what do you do with Finn? What do you do with Dom? Because of this injury that Liv has. Now we could see that they were going for Dom and Liv living a group, but still, now that Liv is not there and it's Dom on his own, if Finn turns on Dom, okay, and you're going on and you're gonna fight Dom a little bit. But what happens after that? They are shit up a creek. There is not going to be the reaction. And I keep arguing with people on the X about this. Yeah, you could have Finn turn on Dom. And yeah, you could have the whole beat down thing of Dom. I really don't want that because I've seen that since the pandemic era. Everybody was always beating Dom's ass. I don't want to see Dom's ass getting beat anymore. But if that happens, okay, you get a little bit, but it's not going to be something that can sustain him. Finn is going to be in Damien's position. And if you remember how Damien was, yeah, he was hot for a little bit, but then that cooled off real fast. Look at what's going on with him on SmackDown now. He's floundering. And that's what's going to be happening to Finn when, after this thing is done with Dom. He's going to be floundering. This is why and that's why I keep arguing that he needed to be face. Face gives him a chance. Heel wise, it doesn't. It's at least if he's still on Raw. So they really shot themselves in the foot regarding the storyline, and it's mostly because they took too long, and they took too long to set up the storyline beats. And also, here's the other thing that's why this narrative is messed up. Jacob Fatu was allowed to turn on Solo after being called stupid, but Dom was not. Like, how is Dom still having to be stuck with Judgment Day after how he's been treated by Finn and everybody else in Judgment Day prior to Finn, like a Rhea and a Damien, but he can't leave, but Jacob Fatu can't. And that's another thing that's so annoying. Like, how is it that Don keeps having to be stuck in this vortex of suck with Judgment Day now, but Jacob Fatu could break away real quick? Just 1 second. You got that where everybody else can turn, but Dom. Like, what? There's nothing tying Dom's Judgment Day anymore. Why can't he turn right now? And then notice how Jacob was treated with sympathy. Like, Jacob was treated with sympathy for, the whole stupid comment with Solo Sikoa and all that, but Dom is not. So that pretty much tells me that they want to keep Dom in that heel role, but that's going counter to what Finn is doing right now. Like, how are you going to go with like a Judgment Day Civil War, Judgment Day kicking people out when you got Finn acting as a heel? It would, like I said, it would make more sense for Finn to be face. Like, if Finn was face and trying to steer Judgment Day right because Dom was being just an asshole, that would make more sense. Like, if Finn was like, okay, I see the error of my ways, I want to right this ship, and he's trying to make amends, and then Dom is just being just an asshole to Finn about it, then I could see that going well too, because at least that acknowledges the history and what we've seen over the past months, or what we've seen since October of 2024. Like, Finn comes in all contrite, says I'm sorry. He's trying to make things right. He's working to help Raquel win. He's working to help Roxanne win. He's working to help JD win. And then Dom is just being, big time in him, then it will make a whole lot more sense when Judgment Day flips face and you have Dom heel. But they didn't do that. And again, like I said, like the past, what Dom has gone through is being ignored, and that's what really pisses me off. Like we've invested with this storyline for years at this point. If you started with Judgment Day at its inception, then it's been 3 or 4. We're at the 4 year mark. If you're with Judgment Day since Dom and Liv, we're at the year mark. But Dom hasn't been treated well in Judgment Day. It's like how I always say that how come, Dom, people will say, or Cole would say that Dom is being big headed and big time in the group, but we remember how Dom would get his ass beat for JD and Finn. We would see how Dom had to take the licking from Damien. We remember all that. So when you see Cole say that, it doesn't jive, right? And it insults my intelligence. Like we're not getting a proper payoff for this part of the Judgment Day story. And like I said on the X, at least when they changed the history for Rhea, they did it after the betrayal. They weren't trying to change the history of what had went on between Dom and Rhea and Liv in the lead up to the betrayal at SummerSlam last year. They waited till after. It still was shitty, but at least they waited. Here, they've been changing the narrative so much that now it doesn't jive with anything that they've done starting the storyline in October last year. So what's happening now is going counter to what started last year. And there's no and so everything that's happened now, the history is ignored. We should be able to see the storyline beats. I saw somebody saying that, well, maybe Raquel holding Liv back from when Dom was getting beat by Damien that time, maybe that should have given us a clue of what was going to happen. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see that, but that still is shitty and still fucked up because if Roxanne still had problems with Dom, we should have gotten hints about that all these months. For now, they were presenting Dom and Raquel as being cool. So if you're going to use Raquel like holding Liv back there, then there's nothing else connecting the storyline beat. You see what I'm saying? Like they had all that time to build all the storyline beats of Raquel still having a problem with Dom preventing her from winning the title. And if they wanted to go with that narrative, that would be fine. I get it. I mean, that history is there, but they never connected that history to the present storyline. It's kind of like how now JD has an attitude. Okay, where is this attitude coming from towards Dom? When Dom has had JD's back all this time, why are we now getting an attitude from JD towards Dom? You can't say that, oh, well, Finn's whispering in JD's ear. Okay, yeah, but we've seen JD get pissed at Finn for being slow to help Dom. So, again, everything is going counter to what we've seen. So, there's beats missing here that should have been done months ago. And at the moment, like I said, it's just all fucked up because we can't have a good direction on where things should go right now because the whole storyline is all over the place. If you go with Dom just getting kicked out, then that's just falls flat for Dom and the rest of the group because they need somebody there. They needed Dom there to help him out because once he exits the storyline, they're gonna be in trouble. Dom, they can't even decide if they want him to be heel or face. I would rather him stay heel-ish because I think he does better with it, and you can just still have the people cheering for him, kind of like Rhea. But if he goes face, then what does he do? And that's why I'm saying I don't think he goes face because right now I think it's still a little bit premature, and I think they're still waiting on Ray for that. But if he was going to be face, where's the commentary for him to be face? Everything is just so all over the place. And this is something they needed to correct. And I guess they're going to be forced now for tomorrow on Raw because now we got to wait and see if they do things right. Because if they just do it where everything is all hunky dory dandy with Dom in the clubhouse, then everybody's going to be pissed off. Finn fans, Dom fans, Liv fans, everybody's going to be pissed off because they're still just dragging out the storyline. Like I don't want to see come tomorrow on Monday Night Raw just the same all Finn grinning like an idiot and Dom just giving him a mean glare. Like something needs to happen. Something major needs to happen tomorrow on Raw. Before I go into my theories on what I want to happen on Raw. I'm gonna go into a little bit about the Rhea glazing just a little bit because that happened at that SummerSlam kickoff. I should have probably started this a little bit earlier, but I'm gonna talk about it. But it was just Michael Cole glazing Rhea. Like I never seen like he was saying something like I never seen such an ascent. And a lot of people online were like, we've seen Dom ascend, we've seen Cody Rhodes ascend, like really fast, rapidly. Like the Rhea glazing is something else, and it gets really annoying. And I equated it to how The Rock said Rhea was carrying the company, and I'm like, okay, but is Cody Rhodes chopped liver? Is Roman Reigns chopped liver? Like I would see Cody Rhodes carrying the company more than Rhea. And this is not something where I'm just saying where Rhea couldn't carry the company, but if I'm looking at Rhea and what she's doing compared to what Cody and Roman was doing and has been doing, it doesn't compare. Public perception is everything. Like these blanket statements from Rhea just get really out of hand, and it's just stare. And this is why I guess the online base gets stirred up. Yeah, she gets cheered in the crowd. Yeah, we get it. But online, it gets annoying to see that type of glazing all the time. And then she was talking about where I'm going back for the title, and I'm like, okay, here we go. Io is still the belt warmer, especially now, because I don't think if Liv was going to challenge Io for the title, I don't think she was going to win that. He was probably going to not win it, and then she was going to probably segue into something with maybe with Roxanne or something like that, and then maybe come around like towards the end of the year where maybe she could challenge something, and then maybe next year she might get it. But I don't think she was going to win the belt from Io. Io was probably going to have her as a challenger just to give Io a challenger, like Io was a challenger for Liv last year, just before Rhea gets the belt back. And I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if it's Rhea versus Io at SummerSlam. If not, they're gonna figure out something where Rhea gets the challenge so she could be having the belt or challenging for the belt at Crown Jewel in Australia later on this year. But yeah, the glazing is something else. But I do expect Rhea to win that title sooner rather than later. And that's kind of why I didn't want Liv to be involved with the title scene because Rhea is still hanging around the title scene, and you know that she can call and cry for her title shot and get it. Oh yeah, another thing with the glazing or how Rhea was at the kickoff is that how she was saying that Raquel is pathetic. And I'm like, woman, this was an opportunity to give Raquel a little bit of a boost ahead of this whatever feud you might have with her coming up. Like you couldn't talk her up. You couldn't talk up Raquel up just a little bit. Like Raquel needs this feud, and if it's just gonna be Rhea running her over, then it's not gonna be helpful for Raquel. Raquel needs to be able to look strong in this feud. I don't know if she's gonna win. She's probably not gonna win the feud, but she needs to be able to look strong. She needs to be able to build herself up so by the time Liv gets back, and if they want to split them, then she can stand on her own 2 feet and not fade into obscurity. But Rhea, as usual, can't do nothing with her promos or how she's talking. It's just Raquel's pathetic. Like that would have been a nice opportunity to say like something like I don't like what she did, but she fights hard. You know, something simple like I know a lot of people a lot of faces can talk up their opponents without tearing them completely down. But Rhea just feels like it's a complete tear down. It's kind of like how she be talking about Dom, like how she was trying to talk about Dom online, and it's like, okay, like where was all this when we needed it, like on TV? So I'm really scared for Raquel for this Rhea feud. I really am because if she's not able to look strong, then she's not gonna fare well. And I don't think even pairing Roxanne with Raquel will help her out either because Roxanne is still getting her footing now. She's getting a little bit of cheers, but she's still getting her footing. Raquel needs to be established. Okay, now we're gonna go into what I hope excuse me. This is where I hope things go on Monday Night Raw. what I hope. We need to have Dom be on a tear. Like he needs to tear up the clubhouse. Like he's got this bat and he's tearing up everything. Like smash the TV because Carlito isn't there. Smash everything else up. Smash the demon lunchbox. Smash the skeleton. Smash the dartboard. Smash everything. Like everything in the clubhouse is destroyed. If he's leaving it, he doesn't need to have nothing left of it, of himself or Liv in the clubhouse. Like maybe he keeps his plushies and whatever and his little and his other stuff, but all that other stuff, it gets smashed. And then when Finn, JD, and Raquel go in, have Dom start blaming them for what happened with Liv. Like he could be like mad at Raquel for letting Liv go out there on her own because Liv wanted to prepare Raquel, and Raquel didn't do it. This is in the kayfabe sense. I'm talking about here, prep wise. Um, like have him go after Raquel for that, and then have him go after JD for preventing Dom from going after Liv. Remember when Dom wanted to go after Liv after she left, after Raquel didn't want to go with her, he wanted to go after her. So and then JD and Finn stopped him. So have them be mad at JD for preventing him from going to Liv because maybe he's thinking maybe he could have did something better to help with Liv. So he's mad at JD. He's mad at Raquel. He goes after Finn because and then he finally just lets the cat out of the bag because Liv is not there. Saying something like, "Hey, I know what you were up to. Me and Liv were on to you. We were just gonna let you hang yourself, but now that she's not here, I don't have to pretend anymore, and I'm out." Then he's gone. You don't have to say anything to Roxanne. He's out. Takes his bat, takes his title, and bolts. He's done with Judgment Day. The clubhouse is in ruins, and he's done. Now, later on in the night, maybe AJ Styles is having a promo, and then Dom can come up on him with the same bat and just start walloping on him as well. I want Dom to start channeling some of that Eddie Guerrero anger, like anger that Eddie had towards China. That's the anger that I want Dom to have, and then we can keep going from there. Uh, Dom is able to win at Night of Champions. Maybe Finn comes out then because he's still pissed about being played a fool and what Dom did to the clubhouse, and then that could cap off and start off their feud. But that's what I want to happen. That's my preference. Preference number 2 is that Finn is finally called out and he gets punted. Now, I said that Judgment Day probably shouldn't be around anymore, but preference 2 is just Dom just saying, "Look, I know what you're up to," um, and then maybe JD and Raquel come around to what Dom has been thinking, like, "Hey, Dom Finn has been doing this." Finn gets caught trying to set something up, and he gets punted out of Judgment Day. But that way, so whenever they want to pull this trigger, whatever with Liv or whatever, they have it there, but at least Finn is punted out of Judgment Day. It's not Dom getting punted out of Judgment Day, it's Finn getting punted out of Judgment Day. And then Dom can go into Night of Champions, beat AJ, and then Finn can come back being pissed off, and then we're still off to the races on that. But I think that's second preference number 2. Like maybe Roxanne finally notices that she's being used by Finn. Raquel and JD compare notes and like, hey, that he's trying to put us against Dom and Liv for no reason. They all come together. They all back Dom and punt Finn out. That's preference number 2. Preference number 3 is probably just a split. My buddy Hope Insanity said that they can still do a split of like Dom, Raquel, and Roxanne, and not Roxanne in a romantic sense. I'm just talking about like you can do that split, and then Judgment Day is no more after that. I haven't really given that too much thought on how I would do it, but I could tolerate that kind of split at least for now. My least favorite is just Dom getting kicked out simplistically because it's simple. Like that just makes Dom look like an idiot, and I don't think they can afford for Dom to look like an idiot. Like, what's the point of Dom getting kicked out when we've already had this build up of Dom pretty much knowing what Finn is up to or Liv was being known up to? That just makes your characters that are supposed to be smart look dumb. So hopefully that doesn't happen. A I do not want a simplistic turn where it just makes Dom look like an idiot. Like that doesn't help Dom at all. That doesn't even help Finn out at all. Like Finn can you can crow about it, but like I said, after that, everything is flat. There's nothing else for Finn to do. We need either a good swerve or we need something where it sets up uh Dom splitting from Judgment Day. I would just say Dom just needs to separate from Judgment Day immediately because there's nothing tying him to Judgment Day right now. Liv isn't there. Carlito isn't there. Just split up completely from Judgment Day, and then we get Roy on the road to SummerSlam. And then there's always going solo. Um, Me for Dom going solo, I would want Dom to be solo in the sense of I want him to channel Eddie. Like I need him to channel Latino cheat. If he doesn't bring the anger of Eddie, I need him to bring the Latino cheat side of Eddie, where he can start winning in devious ways, like distracting the referee, doing the whole chair spot with the referee, all that. Like I need that side of Eddie if Dom is gonna go on the solo road. But let's preview Raw finally. Monday Night Raw. It is Roxanne versus Jade, and I do not think Roxanne is winning that. I think it's going to be Jade. Roxanne is probably going to get tied into whatever they want with Judgment Day, and I don't think her being Queen of the Ring or going into the Queen of the Ring tournament ties in with that. So I say Roxanne loses, and this is where I would have like Roxanne realize that Finn has been steering her wrong, or listening to Finn, you lose, like Finn Balor. Like that needs to. I would have it come out like that, where maybe Roxanne is expecting help, she doesn't get it, and then she's pissed off at Finn. Like kind of spin something that way. But I do think Jade wins, and I do think Jade is gonna win the Queen of the Ring tournament. It's just I just see how that getting set up where they'll have Jade probably go up against Tiffany, and then Jade will win. Then Naomi will cash in on her. That's my prediction on that. And then you can have Asuka if you need somebody. You could have Asuka go against Io as the runner up or something like that. Raquel could interfere on her behalf, but I'm not sure why she would. See, that's another thing with the storyline. Like you expect some things to happen, but it hasn't been set up right where it will kind of be jarring for Raquel to show up to help Roxanne, because it's not like Roxanne was out there to help her in the Queen of the Ring tournament. So it's not like um so Raquel wouldn't have a point to go out there to help Roxanne is because Roxanne hasn't been out there to help her. You see what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense. I made the joke on the X like this would be funny if Dom was out there to cost Roxanne like completely on purpose, not accidentally on purpose, but strictly on purpose, just to kick off whatever they want to do with Judgment Day. Like if he wants to be that person and be that petty bitch, then he could just be like, "Hey, I'm costing you the title. I don't like what you did. I don't, Liv is gone. I'm gonna start doing what I want," and he just straight up cost her the time, the opportunity. I would be dying if he did something like that, and that shows a new side for Dom. Um, if Raquel is out there, then Rhea might be out there, but I'm got a feeling that whatever Raquel and Rhea set up is going to be separate from that match. So on Monday Night Raw, I do expect Rhea and Raquel to set something up. Maybe they set up something for Evolution. So maybe something gets kicked off here between them and they can go at it. But I don't think they're gonna do that with Roxanne's match. As for Dom, I'm hoping we do get some kind of confrontation with Dom and AJ. I want them to fight. Let Dom fight. Let Dom fight. Let him be aggressive. I want to see him be as aggressive like he was at Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank. Let Dom be aggressive towards AJ. I'm not too concerned about momentum shifts because momentum shifts have been working 50-50% this year, so I'm not too concerned about momentum shifting. And I have Dom still like at around 80% winning at Night of Champions because I gotta allow for 20% of Triple H's bullshit. You know how it is.